I'm Jaime. I have been in recovery for 129 days and I'm 23 years old. After high school, I started hanging out with kind of a questionable crowd. They introduced me to the life of partying, underage, and what all the cool kids are doing and the fun aspect of it. And I never drank in high school, so being exposed to that and enjoying it and seeing what all the normal people my age were doing was awesome. It was great. It was something I wanted to do all the time. It just started turning into me going from not drinking at all to me doing the typical every weekend partying hard, which then led me to go apply to work at a local nightclub because of the time and that age. What better way to spend your weekends than to be constantly surrounded with the party atmosphere and getting paid for it. I continued my journey into the party world and drinking. So not only was I drinking every weekend and the weekdays when I wasn't scheduled to work with everyone I was working with, but even then it began to be a pattern of I'd get off work at 3 a.m. and then I'd be drinking until 7 a.m., going to sleep for a few hours, getting up and starting it all over again. Kept working in that environment and kept adding more bar jobs and service industry jobs to my resume, which then led to more partying, more drinking, turning 21 and actually being able to go to bars during the hours where I was working typically at the bar. Continued for about 5 more years, and the circle of friends that I gained and kept introducing myself to were all in the party zone and the party atmosphere. So there was never an option to get out of it and to stop. My life before drugs and alcohol was pretty standard for a high schooler. The biggest trouble I was getting into was not cleaning my room or skipping class, not listening to my mother when she was yelling at me to do something. It was great and standard until my junior year when I developed an eating disorder. So pretty early in life, at the age of 16, I had already entered into the addiction realm of life, and once I got out of high school and then started going towards the alcohol route of addiction lifestyle, my eating disorder followed me out of high school, and once I started hanging out with those friends that introduced me to alcohol, then it was like the alcohol and the party scene which took over and outshined my real struggle, which was my purging. When someone asked me what my rock bottom is, it's interesting because I didn't necessarily only have one. I thought my rock bottom was when I was arrested in 2011 from a DWI. I blew a .16, which is double the legal limit. I went out to karaoke with a couple of friends after work, and because I wasn't in my normal scene of the actual partying where I was just taking shot after shot and we were going crazy, and I was just having numerous glasses of wine and a couple of shots that I was okay, totally normal. I was barely even feeling it, which should have said something to me right then, but I decided to drive home and got arrested. The next morning I woke up and I had lost one of the best jobs I had ever had on my resume, and I lost my license and the respect and trust of my parents. Instead of me using the DWI as a red flag that maybe I should slow down, take a look at the bigger picture, I used it as, yes, I don't have to drive anymore. I don't ever need to be considered for sober rehab, more getting wasted. And then finally hit my second and final rock bottom of going out one night, wound up being in an environment with people from the past years of me being a wild partier, and got influenced to just let go, have fun like the good old days. The last time I remember looking at my phone at the time, it was around midnight, and the next thing I remember is waking up the next day, 5 o'clock at night, and I had a terrible bruise and cuts. I had a concussion, shattered phone, zero pride. I felt like the biggest piece of junk out there. No satisfaction at all. Nothing felt good in my heart. I felt completely empty. I knew right then and there that something had to be done. This could not go on any longer. The decision to get help and to get rid of this terrible pattern of mine was, I took that moment of feeling so low and so worthless, and I finally looked up and prayed. After I prayed and asked God to take it from me, I felt like, okay, now it's my responsibility to actually make a move myself and do something about it. So I removed myself from the people I was hanging out with and the bars I was going to, and just all of the surroundings that I put myself in for the last 7 years. Figure out what the next step should be, and that was for me to find a Christ-centered recovery and for me to give 100% to it, because if I truly wanted a different life and wanted God's help through it, then I would have to make that step for Him to completely help me get clean and recovered. I've never been more confident in myself and more confident in the path that I'm going. I'm able to see clearly who I should be surrounding myself with, who will only help me strive further in my recovery and my future. A message that I want to send out to people that have yet to reach recovery is, don't be afraid to embrace the struggle. It's definitely one of the hardest things ever to enter into recovery and to start coming to the realizations that who you surround yourself with is 100% a part of moving forward. The people that care about you the most and the people that love you for who you are and not the struggle that you're going through will be there through your recovery and in the end. Thank you all for listening to my story. I invite you to check out my organization on Twitter and Facebook called Beautiful Tomorrow, and I hope you make tomorrow beautiful.